Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Pagmeist, and in this video we're going to be discussing 5 villains that could be used within Daredevil Season 2. Now, if you have not watched this Daredevil Season 1, I'd suggest watching that before watching this video. Not necessarily because of spoilers, just because of the fact I think it just makes sense to watch Season 1 before you start finding stuff out about Season 2. Now, without any more rambling on, let's get straight into it. At number 5 is Stilt Man. Now, that's right, yeah, one of Daredevil's, I guess you could say he's one of his oldest enemies. I think it's one of the first enemies he does verse, is literally a guy who walks around on stilts. Now, he's also armed with a stun gas gun and various other gadgets. It's not just stilt, he just does not walk around on stilts all day. He actually has weapons and stuff like that. Now, actually, in the comics, he's actually seen as a bit of an incompetent super villain, might I say. Seeing that he's usually easily defeated by Daredevil on most occasions. Sometimes there's a bit of a struggle, but literally the majority of the time, it's pretty easy for Daredevil to overcome him. Now, I wouldn't say he's going to be a major villain like a certain person was in Season 1, but I could see him being like a bit of a side villain, like maybe every 3 episodes or something. He'd come in, do a crime, and Daredevil has to sort of step in and stop him. It'd be pretty interesting to see if the TV show would actually be able to pull him off pretty seriously instead of a bit of a joke, because a dude walking around called Stilt Man doesn't seem that threatening, but if they could pull it off and make him seem like an actual threat and not just a bit of a joke, it'd be really, really impressive. Now, there actually is a bit of an Easter egg in Season 1 for Stilt Man. You can actually see his legs in a particular person's workshop, so, supposedly, so it could be an Easter egg. We're not too sure, but if it is, that's a pretty cool hint that Stilt Man could be in Season 2. At number 4, we have Mr. Fear. Now, Mr. Fear has in every iteration of him, say like when a different person takes him over, he has the same power usually. He usually uses a specialized drug that induces terror. So it's pretty similar to the Scarecrow in the Batman franchise. It induces terror, anxiety, and even like hallucinations. So it's pretty similar to the Scarecrow. Now the trick that the TV universe of Marvel faces is not to make it look too much like the Scarecrow, or even if you do watch Arrow. There's a guy on there called Vertigo who has like a drug, and it does sort of the same thing. So they got to try and sort out that it doesn't look too much like that. Now, one thing that's pretty interesting is that the storyline that could do is that if this guy uses a mass amount of this drug, it could actually take away the fear of death, because everyone in Hell's Kitchen thinks they're sort of fearing death most of the time, like it's unsafe on the streets. So if he uses that drug properly, it could actually take away the fear from everyone in Hell's Kitchen, and instead of having everyone incapacitated with fear. So it'd be pretty interesting, and it'd be pretty interesting to see how Daredevil combats that as well. And number 3, and I just want to, the actual person isn't a spoiler, but the person that she might be involved is a spoiler, so just make sure you've watched Season 1 for the love of God. But anyway, at number 3 we have Typhoid Mary. Now she's been both an enemy as well as an actual love interest to Daredevil over the years. But as a villain, she frequently served as one of Kingpin's favorite assassins. So if Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, does return, perhaps we could see her as her new like sidekick, sort of like how Wesley was before he decided to get some holes stuffed in him. So even though Daredevil actually did fight a lot of people in the Season 1, he's yet to fight anyone with actual superhuman abilities. So if Typhoid Mary is actually in this show and could be a potential villain, it might open up the Daredevil world to a more fantasy side, I guess you could say, sort of like what's happening in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it'd be pretty interesting. At number 2, we have The Hand. Now, in Season 1, obviously if you've watched it, you remember Nobu, who was the Japanese businessman side of that like group that Wilson Fisk was involved in. Now, in the episode that he was killed, like set on fire, and he actually almost killed Daredevil. He was dressed like these people. Now, if the series does involve The Hand, it'd be pretty interesting to see like all this massive group fighting against Daredevil, aka the Man Without Fear, and it would also give us more an insight into the group. Now, we know from events in Season 1, the group that Nobu was involved in is something more sinister than just standard criminal activities. They're a bit more in depth. So we're pretty sure to see if they can take it up and actually add more magical traits to it. But even better, it'd actually be interesting to see if Kingpin gets out of prison, because I think it's too much of a main character, and Vincent D'Onofrio did a really good job of actually portraying Kingpin. So there'll be some way where he gets out of prison, where there's like people on the outside which can get into the prison and let him escape. If you've watched Arrow, you would know that like how like they managed to get Roy out of prison just by like pretending to stab him, and it was like had poison and stuff like that on it. But I don't think they would copy that idea, but they might do something similar to get him out. And Wilson Fisk could actually become the Hand's new leader, and that's what he actually is doing in the comics, I'm pretty sure, nowadays. So that'd be a pretty interesting storyline if they did follow it. Now, this might be a bit of a controversial one, and not controversial as in it's bad, but just because of his history. Now, I guess Kingpin has his history as well, but of course, Daredevil, this is not the first iteration of Daredevil on the big screen or just some form of popular entertainment. Of course, we had the movie in 2003, Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck. Now, there was Kingpin, and then this is the number one. We have Bullseye. Now, if Kingpin is considered to be Daredevil's like greatest enemy, like the big kahuna, then Bullseye is definitely a close second. Now, he's labelled the man who never misses. I'm pretty sure he labels himself that. Now, he's basically to turn any object into a projectile weapon. Now, we saw it in the movie how he like flicks a peanut into that old woman's throat and then she dies and chokes on it. Stupid stuff like that. And actually, the funny thing is, it's actually not even a superpower. It's just really, really skilled. And he's just really good at aiming. Now, he's been an enemy of Daredevil since the late 70s in the comics and has frequently been responsible for many of the tragedies in Matt Murdock's life, like killing a certain person. I don't want to spoil it just in case they do put it in the show. Now, it's actually already been suggested that Bullseye is actually being considered for Season 2. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be the big bad or it's going to be like a recurring villain. It could be like the big bad in like Season 3 or Season 4 if they do get there. But it'd be pretty cool to see Bullseye because I think he's... with Daredevil's powers and how he's able to avoid stuff and certain things like that, it'd be pretty interesting to see Bullseye in the show. And also, if they want to keep the show a bit more realistic, now I guess like having all these like enhanced sensors isn't extremely realistic, but it's not as bad as like flying or like zapping electricity out of your hands, if you know what I mean. So if they brought him into the show and made him the big bad, it'd be pretty interesting in keeping it a bit more realistic. The one thing that I think they should avoid with Bullseye, if they do it, is just literally give him a suit if he wants to do it. Not have like a scar of the target symbol or whatever it was on his forehead in the 2003 movie. I thought that was really weird because I'm pretty sure in the comic books he just literally has a suit with a target on his head. So yeah, I thought that was a bit silly. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Leave any opinions in the comment section below. Who do you think should be in Daredevil Season 2? What did you think of Daredevil Season 1? I really, really enjoyed it. I really liked the way the season ended. I thought it was going to end a certain way and then ended that way, and I was like confused as shit. But thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed for more videos like this, and make sure to follow me on Twitter. That link will be in the description below. And yeah, I'll catch you later. Goodbye.